Thanks again for joining us for one of our Ready Neighborhood Conversations. We're excited to be back once again with our Advisory Council Chair, Dr. Bernice King, and we also have one of our newest Ready Advisory Council members, Jonathan Beane. Brother, good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you too, Ashley.
Man, we're so excited to have you. For those that don't know, Jonathan is the head of diversity, equity, inclusion for the National Football League. And our conversation today is going to be a little sports, going to be a little social justice, but really just a fun conversation about why we think these two spaces between sports and social justice has provided so many new opportunities and how Ready Life has been really pushing in that space. So Jonathan, first off, tell us a little bit about you, your job, and what brings you here.
Yeah, so I'm currently, as you said, the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for the National Football League. I've been doing this work for about 20 years, really committed to the space of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And for me, I spent a lot of time in media, in healthcare, and now in sports and entertainment. And it's just been a wonderful journey. And I love the fact that we're now, 20 years ago, the area of diversity and inclusion was not really one that was a priority. Today it is.
Yeah.
And that's, and I feel like I'm honored to be in this place right now.
And what's important about that is it's a new era, I believe, like you said, but it's also provided so many new opportunities to redefine what diversity, equity, and inclusion can look like. And we've seen in some of the work that Dr. King and I have done, a chance to reimagine what supplier diversity looks like, to bring in Black-owned banks, Black-owned financial institutions. Yes. And Dr. King, let's talk about that. When we look at the opportunities we've had to work together with our foundation, the National Black Bank Foundation, we leaned into opportunities at DEI with professional sports. Let's talk about MLS.
Right.
What was the opportunity you saw there? How did that kind of happen in its origins, to tell that story of how we went from taking diversity, equity, inclusion, and finding opportunity with MLS to do the deal that we were able to pull off?
Well, for me, it was about leveraging a relationship that I had with a gentleman who actually is the Chief Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Officer at MLS.
That's right.
And we had conversations before he got to MLS, about the issues we faced in the African American community. And so I immediately said, let me call somebody who would understand the importance of what we were trying to do in terms of strengthening Black banks, because as we strengthen Black banks, we strengthen the Black community economically. It gives greater access and opportunity to do so much to build generational wealth. And so I reached out to Shola Windley, and the rest is history. And he got
it really was history.
I mean, to think about having the right people in place.
Right.
That's what the key is. You're the right person in place. Shola being the right person in place, and things are lining up. And I think we're going to see more of that.
And I think that's what's important, having the right people in place. The NFL also has been right down the field pushing this exact same issue. You guys have done a great deal as well. And this gives us a chance to really talk about why it's important. The people on the field, Black and brown predominantly, in soccer and in football. So you have these corporations that make so much money off of Black bodies and Black talent. This is a new era of trying to figure out how do you make that money in the community, just like what they're doing on the field. So how has that challenge been for you, and where are you leaning in?
Yeah, I love it. You're so right. I mean, when you look at the National Football League, over 70% of our players are people of color. 70% are Black. Then you look at MLS, which is a very diverse league itself. The NBA, obviously.
Right.
And then it is, you have industries that are making billions of dollars. And I think it is the responsibility of the sports industry to ensure that everybody's getting a piece of that pie. And also, especially when you look at what the product that is put on the field, and also those that are driving the effort in these leagues, they play a critical role. So when we play a critical role, especially in the creation of a sport and a product on a field, then we certainly should play a critical role on everything else that goes out off the field.
Right.
And that's something that's really important in this space. Is yes, it's great to hire talent, develop talent, retain talent, have a great culture, but you have to operationalize DEI. It needs to be everywhere. which means that you have to make sure that the vendors and the businesses and the banks that you're working with, they should be Black banks. They should be other banks of diverse communities, because everybody deserves to have that piece of the pie.
Absolutely, and I think this is just a great segue for us, because Dr. King and I've been working with the Black Bank Foundation, and Ready Life is an extension of a larger mission. The mission's always been exactly what you said: create opportunity, invest in our community, especially with these economic engines of sports, and which is what brings us here right now. We're joining you right from Miami, the day before the Orange Blossom Classic, which is the largest gathering of Black people in our country around a sporting event, with 2 historical Black colleges playing in front of a nationally televised audience on ESPN, where our first commercial will be aired during the first half of the game. We got Jackson State and Florida A&M. And what was important, a part of this, is we're the only Black-owned company that is a named sponsor of any of the big college football games that are going to be nationally televised this weekend. And just think about what that means. Because for us, like you said, you're going to have 70% or more of the teams that are playing on national TV this weekend and every other weekend are going to be from Black communities. But then we look at the companies that are sponsoring the games, that have the title name on the bowls, the commercials that people are watching while they're watching these games of African Americans playing at a high level. How many of those companies are Black owned? This is a question, ironically, that my son asked me last year. We're watching football. My son asked me, he said, "Dad, how many of these companies that I'm watching are owned by Black people?" None of them. When I was watching, I had nothing to say. So for me, I saw the opportunity for us to sponsor this bowl game. It's about representation. And I want to talk about that. What does representation really mean? In your careers, where have you seen representation that's been inspiring to you? Because I hope that the kids watching this game on ESPN and they see a Black-owned company and a Black commercial talking about an issue that's going to help everybody, but is founded by people that look like them, that hopefully that could be an inspiration. What has been an inspiration for you, Jonathan, in your journey to say representation matters, and I want to be a part of the work to make sure that we are represented in the spaces and places that matter most?
Representation means everything. If you don't see it, then people think that they can't be it. Right. And so it's representation in all areas. We talked about that already. And so for me, one of the reasons why I'm really excited about being personally involved in this effort is the fact that when you look at the model of Ready Life, when you look at the commitment to being the sponsor of the Classic, that and when you look at the owners of the company as well, 2 Black owners, that is a game changer. That is what needs to happen. We need to make sure that the representation of all areas, all industries are representative of society, of American society. And this Ready Life and you all are playing a huge part here. And we have to be supportive of that and make sure that we are also serving the communities that have been underserved for so long.
And we're a tech company. At the end of the day, this is a tech company, and it's an industry that is so hard for Black companies to get traction. We always have really focused as a community on advocating for change. And Ready Life is adding to that by innovating for change. And technology is what's really pushing change right now. And so this gives us a chance to really talk about why that matters. And I can say, people view it differently when they see a Black-led company in the tech space. And so for Dr. King, for you, when you look at, tell our viewers today, what made you want to step out and say, this is a space where I want to lend my voice? How is this a continuation of your journey, of your mission?
Well, for me, it's about continuing a legacy, my father's legacy of economic justice. He saw the twin of racial justice and economic justice. And, this is an opportunity to continue that work he was trying to do in terms of increasing the wealth of the Black community and getting us out of this, consumer mindset too. We're great consumers. Mm-hmm. We don't have the ownership mentality. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that was exciting because I'm always pushing for that with people that are in my circle, the importance of owning. When I'm in downtown Atlanta, I always ask the question, how much of this, I know Herman Russell participated in building, but how many of these were we the lead company? I'm always looking at that across the country in every industry. I say, wait, we haven't cornered any market as a people, and so this is an opportunity to begin to open that door, because I think what it will do, it will expand people's mindset to realize that we can do these kinds of things. I think we've just accepted the fact that we're going to forever be consumers, we're going to be second, and I'm saying no, I want to be first in everything that we do, and we have to be represented in all of the industries, not just as a token. That's very important.
That's
and
right.
So I love the idea of us being the
Presenting sponsors.
sponsor.
Right.
I love it. It's to me, it's a no-brainer. Now I know we have to do the work.
Yeah. We got to do the work. And what's great about it is this is the perfect combination of a company as well as a movement.
Yes.
This is a movement that we hope captures the hearts and minds of a lot of people to reimagine what opportunity can look like. When you see that Ready Life logo, it looks like a button. This is us pressing the hard reset. Just a hard reset of rethinking what opportunity can look like. You don't have to have a credit score in order to have the dignity of owning a home. It should not be a mandatory hurdle. We're removing that. If you pay your rent on time every month, the same amount of money you spend on rent, that's enough for a mortgage. And we're gonna help you go from renting to owning, changing that mentality of a renter's mind to an owner's mind, because when we own our homes, we can own our future. Thank y'all for joining us today. Join us again for another Ready Life curated conversation around how we move our community forward. ReadyLife.com, you can sign up for more information.